waiting for that ting sound while you're chatting with your boyfriend, or waiting in the huge, horrible, bad Bangalore traffic. Madam President, Madam Toastmasters, guests, and fellow Toastmasters. Today, without making you wait for longer, let me decipher the philosophy and the psychology behind why waiting is a torture. Few years ago, in the Houston airport, customers lodged a lot of complaints about the waiting time in the baggage counters. The executives analyzed this and they increased the number of baggage counters. But this did not work. The complaints still persisted. So the executives did the on-site analysis and then found out that from the arrival gate to the baggage counter, it took just 1 minute for the passengers to walk, and then to take their baggages they had to wait for 7 minutes. Approximately 88% of their time was wasted waiting. So instead of bringing down the waiting time, what the executives did was they shifted the arrival gate farther so that people had to walk 6 times more than earlier. Now people had no complaints about waiting. So this is how it worked. So the logic behind this is, we always feel that occupied time is always lesser than the unoccupied time. That is how it works. We also exaggerate when we wait. Okay, even if we wait for 5 minutes, I waited for half an hour for that person and he's still not ended up here. And also that research show that we overestimate the waiting time by 36%. That is also one reason why there are mirrors in the elevators. So this idea bloomed during World War II, where there were complaints about elevators being delayed. So the rationale behind having the mirrors was same as that of the Houston airport. Give people something to occupy their time, and yes, the wait feels much lesser. You look at your hairstyle, you just keep staring at your fellow passenger in the lift, or yes, your lipstick and all that. So the complaints again went down. And not just this, the drudgery behind this whole long pain of waiting also leads to the popularity of impulse buy items. That is, when you go to a mall and you're waiting for someone, you're irritated that the person has not yet arrived, and you start buying something. Your tabloids and all the chewing gums, these are all these offer relief to the agony of waiting. And our expectations also have a big role to play in waiting. Like, you know when this line is going to end, you're okay with it. When you don't know, when this line is going to end, you're like frustrated there again. This is how you all might have heard of Disneyland, Disney theme park. So what they do is they always overestimate the time a customer has, the guest has to take a ride for. Like, okay, you have to wait for 20 minutes to go to the next ride. But what happens is the customers are pleasantly surprised when they see that they get into the ride even before the schedule. So they make their customers happy that way. And not just this, the length of the line also is what matters. Given a choice between a short line which is fast moving and a long line which is slow moving, we always go for the smaller line, because even the waiting times are the same. That is human psychology. So Disney has picked up this factor also, and what they do is they hide their waiting queues and they wrap it up in a building. Like, you cannot know how big the line is, or change the pattern of the queues, like a serpentine queue or something like that. So other than this, fairness also is one factor that affects waiting. We are all fair people. We stand in a queue, okay, first come, first serve. You see any person breaking the queue, he's gone. We've seen people being beaten to death also. There are instances of these things happening. So there's one more thing that affects waiting is that single line versus multi-line queue. If you're waiting at the grocery stores, you will realize how unfair these multi-line queues are. I myself feel it so many times when I'm standing in the cafeteria, and I feel like kicking myself for not choosing the line next to me, which is moving twice as fast as the line I am in. And also that we believe it or not, it is we spend 27,000 hours of our life just waiting. Waiting for what? Depends on the person. Waiting. This counts to 3 years of our entire lifetime. So it's always important to have the idea, to have a better understanding of how the human psychology of waiting. Because this waiting is finally an emotional state where you have the stress, the nagging sensation where, you know, my life is slipping away and all that. So a better understanding of the psychology behind queuing might not cut the length of your line shorter, or might not remove all your lines completely. But one thing you can learn from this is you learn to bear that inevitable pain of waiting. It makes the inevitable pain of waiting more bearable. That's all. Thank you.